Marinaro, the Sick Podcast on this Friday, October 31st. Happy Halloween, everyone. And in all transparency, as we've always been honest with you, this podcast was taped a little bit earlier in the day so that we could all watch the Blue Jays and the LA Dodgers. And as we speak right now, you're probably watching this at around 10 p.m. Eastern time, of course. It's a couple of hours into the baseball game, and we hope the Blue Jays are doing well for themselves. We're going to talk Montreal Canadiens hockey. There's a big decision, of course, and the decision is that it's going to be Samuel Montembeault in goal for the Montreal Canadiens versus the Ottawa Senators. After Dobesh played the last two games and won the last two games, Marty St. Louis decides to go with Montembeault because he says, Sam's a good goalie. There is no goalie controversy. He had time to work with the goalie coach. He did not forget how to play goal. This is a big game. We have confidence in him. It's one of the things we're going to talk about. The last time the Montreal Canadiens played the Ottawa Senators was in preseason. And that one there was a rather silent game in Montreal. But the game before that was a game that was played at Quebec City. And at that point, it was a very physical, very violent game. There were fights. There was everything. There was even Nick Cousins slashing Ivan Demidov. And we'll discuss that as revenge on their minds. And let's not forget that was it a day after that game that the Ottawa Senators went out? They made a trade and they acquired an unbelievably fantastic, talented player. No, they did not. They went out to get a guy who has absolutely no idea how to play hockey, who plays about 3 minutes per game, and Curtis McDermott. We have a lot to talk about. Matthew Ohayon is going to be with me. So is Brian Wilde. The Sick Podcast is coming up on Marinaro.
It's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
Playing on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick Podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K, 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 S-I-C-K.
All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. With Tony Marinaro
55 seconds left in the penalty, a minute and 27 seconds left in regulation time. Boston 4, Montreal 3. Lafleur coming out rather gingerly on the right side. He gives it into Lemaire, back to Lafleur.
The sickest Montreal Canadiens podcast.
You're in the ball!
Sports entertainment like no other.
Rejoint, on lui fait perdre la rondelle, une passe devant. Et c'est le dégagement, et ce sera la victoire des Canadiens. Stanley pour les Canadiens, le 23e de l'histoire.
You found the dogs! John, you found the dogs! He found the dogs!
And all together, they worked a young team to the top. And now, a 24th Stanley Cup banner will hang from the rafters of the famous Forum in Montreal. The Canadiens win the Stanley Cup.
Brought to you by Energy Transportation Group. Driven to be different. La Vida TV. Embrace your true nature. And Playground, your premier gaming destination. It's gonna be sick.
Happy Halloween, everyone. I would imagine by now it's over. Are people still trick-or-treating past 10 p.m. Eastern time? Maybe a couple, but not as many.
The older ones.
Not as many that used to do it probably 20 or 30 years ago, I'd be willing to bet. We talked about all of our sponsors, and thank you very much for sponsoring the Sick Podcast. Of course, Energy Transportation Group, Playground, Bittt, Tibi. There's another one, and that other one brings you Brian Wilde.
Brian Wilde, presented by Fruiterie Dollard. Fresh foods and flavors for over 30 years.
Oh, yeah, Fruiterie Dollard is a family-run business, a mainstay in the Lasalle community since 1995. Proud to continue offering the same fresh foods and flavors that they have for the past 30 years, from fresh fruits and produce delivered daily to an ever-expanding assortment of deli meats, cheeses, and sandwiches. You'll find personalized service and friendly faces that make you feel like family at Fruiterie Dollard. A special hello to Tasso, his son, and the entire staff. Sergio Momesso's brother Paul actually works at Fruiterie Dollard in the cold cuts section.
And did Paul work at the restaurant before that? And
Paul
was
a mainstay at Momesso's restaurant for a very, very long time on Upper Lachine in NDG, of course, which unfortunately is no longer open, but that's okay. And Matt Ohayon, who usually brings you the Sick Podcast on Friday nights. And here's the deal. Mm-hmm. Is that Matt asked for a raise this year. So much it was so high that Agnello said, I can't give you that to host, but I can give you maybe for a collaborator that makes just about 10% less. And so to save 10%, Matt moved from this chair to that chair. That's because that's Agnello's doing. It's none of my fault.
That's how it works. That's how
we just didn't have the 10% for you, Matt.
Yeah, exactly. So it's the fine margins.
It's the topic of conversation in the city, and it has been, by the way, not only for the last 24 hours, for the last couple of weeks. The more that Jakub Dobeš stood on his head when he played, and the more that Samuel Montembeault would give up a bad goal, and his goals against average would get higher, and his save percentage would get lower, more and more people started to talk about this. Matt, when yesterday afternoon you found out that Samuel Montembeault was going to get the starting goal, which yesterday was his birthday, and on his birthday he was told, Sam, you're our guy, and you get the Ottawa Senators on Saturday night. What was your initial reaction?
I was surprised, but not surprised at the same time. I'll tell you why. Exactly.
Always taking the easy way out.
No, it's not.
I was surprised, but I wasn't.
It's
just go one way or the other, man.
Let me tell you, because I made the comparison of last year. Initial reaction, I couldn't believe it. But then when I thought about it, I said, it took Mike Matheson.
Yes.
About a month to lose his spot last year on the first power play unit, when Lane Hudson was lighting the world up.
I think it was 18 or 20 games, but about a month and a half.
Yeah. So I said, Montembeault's with the team for a while. He's earned this. He has the seniority. He's earned the trust of the team to pull his way out of it. It wasn't so surprising, but if this game is in December, January, I wouldn't have a reason for you, but that's why I wasn't surprised after thinking about it.
I predicted it. I thought for sure it was going to be Montembeault, even after Dobeš did what Dobeš did. And here's why. You can't just let one of your goalies go. You send him to the side just a little bit. You get him to hang around with the goalie coach for a while. You look at a lot of video. You figure out what you're not doing right. You practice what you're not doing right. Make it right. Take a little time off. Get yourself mentally strong, emotionally ready again, and then you get the net back because you've been the guy in the net. And the reason is Martin Saint-Louis knows when this year is done, he needs two goalies. He can't just let one start to go on the wayside and say, well, I got a 940 and an 842. I'm just going to let this 842 guy die. They can't let that guy die because they don't have a replacement for that guy just yet. And you need 2 goalies. Like, there's no such thing as Dobish playing the next 72 games. So it had to be. It had to be. The only thing that
didn't have to be.
It did have to be.
The other guy played 2 games.
Yeah, but you can't let him go. You can't let him go. You have to give him the net. There comes a point where you wait too long. Now there's a big anxiety about getting back into the net. So let's say it's 15,
There's probably
16.
a big anxiety about getting in the net versus the Ottawa Senators on a Saturday night.
I agree, but doesn't the anxiety get worse if we're now mid-November and he still hasn't played because Dobish is running a winning streak? And now the controversy actually becomes a little bit of one when it shouldn't. You have to give him the net back. He's been the 900. He's been the number 1. You got to let him to get back to 900 because at the end of the season what's going to happen, right? They're both going to be 900.
Well, if this game is if the Habs play they played on Tuesday, if their next game was Thursday,
yeah, it could be different.
What is it? A different story?
It could have been a different story because you're looking at when you're selling this to Montembeault and you're trying to work it out for Montembeault. It's about the extra days to change what has been wrong, right? Like goalies, we all know are voodoo. You really can't figure out from game to game why one sucks so badly for a 2-week stretch and then Montembeault goes on a huge stretch.
So let's talk about this actually. Dobish had played Wednesday in Calgary. Montembeault had played Thursday in Edmonton. I'm going back a couple of weeks now, obviously. Thursday in Edmonton. On Friday, they were off. On Saturday, they played in Vancouver. You're back to Dobish. On Sunday, they were off. On Monday was a practice day. One. On Tuesday, they played in Seattle. On Wednesday was a travel day. They came back.
Exactly.
And now this week on Thursday and Friday, they practiced.
3 now.
So that's 3 practices.
Mm-hmm. And that's the requisite amount of time for a goalie to get his act back together is 3. And then if you make it 5, 7, or 9, now you have a different story. What is it about now, really? In this case, it's about getting him back to his form, and 3 practices with your goaltender coach, looking at a ton of video, I think is the appropriate amount of time to get him back in the net. The only way I disagree with myself is this is a giant game against a team that's going to be right beside you in the standings, and they really can't afford for him to be 842. They need him to be Dobish 940.
It's not complicated, right? It's either going to turn out to be the right decision or the wrong decision. There's going to be no in between here whatsoever. I don't think so anyway, because, and look, it might be a close game. He might play a good game. They might get 2 points. They might get 1 point. They might not play. They might not get any, but it won't be his fault. So yes, I guess it's probably not going to go either way, but the emotion of a game like this can have different effects on you. It can either bring out the best in Montembeault, and he stands on his head versus a team that has played 1 more game than the Canadiens, has 3 points less, have won 4 of their last 5, have scored 20 goals in that process, and are going to come in and, you know what? He can either stand on his head or they might get to him. And so Marty St. Louis is, I think, putting a lot of pressure on himself too with this decision, because I spoke with Eric Belanger earlier this morning on the show that I do weekdays at 10 a.m. en français from this very same studio here. And I spoke to him this morning, and Eric Belanger, who not only played in the National Hockey League, but he also had a chance to coach at different levels. He said, if I was coaching, the easy decision is to go with Dobish.
Oh, for sure.
He's winning. He hasn't lost. So you go with him. And then if he loses, you say, I went with my guy that was winning. He lost. Sam, you get the next game. So it's a courageous decision.
And it's a long view decision. It's a long view versus short view, because Eric is right. Short view, it's an easy call. It's Dobish. He's 940 this season. He's got the top save percentage in the entire NHL. Wouldn't you go for him? Of course you would. That's the short view. But the long view is you're going to need 2 goalies. You got to have 2 goalies. You can't just leave one hang out to dry for even more than this time is. You could get away with maybe 1 more game. But by the new week, he has to get back in the crease. You can't just say, we're riding Dobish.
I wonder what the team, what the players think off record, deep down inside, on record, everyone's going to say, obviously, it's our teammate, he's going through a tough time. We've never lost confidence in him. We support him. We know he's going to bounce back. He's a very good goaltender in the National Hockey League. We have full faith in him, blah, 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 right?
Thanks, Mike.
we all know that. Right? But they're fans of the game, and, they're just like all of us. I'm sure that, they could be saying, interesting decision probably to their teammate, or I thought we were going to go with Jakob because he's running the high hand, or they might even say, off the record, they might say, good for Sam. He's going to get back in there. And I know, he's going to bounce back for sure, but I'm wondering, what they think about this. And that's going to be true. I would imagine, look, they love him. And to tell you the truth, they love Dobish too, right? They're two good goaltenders, and they're both very, very good guys, different personalities, but both loved by their teammates. This team's going to go that extra mile to block a shot for him tomorrow.
Yeah, but wouldn't you think that the players, like I was getting into the heads of the guys I know really well, like Brendan Gallagher, for example, and I'm thinking about how he'd look at it. And I know Brendan Gallagher would look at it. He would take a long view on it. We're going to need him. But depending on the personality, you might have a person also say, man, we got to win this game.
Well,
I think it really depends on human beings.
Maybe an older player says we need to get him back. Maybe a younger player says we need to ride.
Right. I mean, there are different people in the world. They have different attitudes about things. So I think it's a kind of a discussion that is really all about what kind of person you are.
Well, maybe I'm the young guy then, because
I know you're the young guy. I don't need to.
I don't
need a maybe there.
But maybe that's just the young guy in me, because I look at this season, they lost game 1 against the Maple Leafs, and I tongue-in-cheek texted a friend of mine saying, must win tomorrow night. Must win in Detroit. But these games...
Very patient guy, man.
But these games...
They must win game 2 of an 82-game season.
But, Tony, the season went down to the last game of the season last year. You need to pick up these points. 2 points in October is just as important as 2 points in April.
Listen, I looked at it this way before the season. And ultimately, I'm going to be wrong, because they're going to end up, I think, outproducing the projection that I had for them. But I know that you thought it was going to be urgent game 2 of the season, but I never did. And I'm going to tell you why. If the Canadians picked up 91 points last year, and you can tell me that they made it on the last game of the season, I can also tell you that they only won 4 of their first 15 games, and they're clearly better than that. If we can all agree that with the young core, all getting 1 year older, Suzuki, Caulfield, Slafkovsky, Lane Hudson, and we can all agree, even Montembeault himself, we can all agree that adding Noah Dobson and adding Zachary Bolduc, and even though you lost Heineman, you lost Dvorak, and you lost Armia, adding Kapanen, adding the Canadians are a better team on paper this year than they were a year ago. Adding Demidov, who only played the final 2 regular season games. So, Matt, if they picked up 91 points last year, didn't you think going into the season that with the team on paper this year, that they would be at the very least a win more per month? A win more per month on 6.5 months. It's another.
So you projected 103?
I projected 100.
100.
And I'm going to be wrong, because they're going to get more than 100.
Wow.
You don't think?
No.
They're 8-3 after 11. You don't think?
No.
They swing both ways.
Are you telling me you think that they're being lucky in winning these games?
No, I wouldn't say they're being lucky. When you look at the metrics, the metrics are very good, but the metrics of the Kapanen line are not very good at all. But the results of the Kapanen line so far are excellent, and I don't think that is sustainable.
So when I watch them without even looking at the stats, I don't think they're as good as everyone thinks they are. I think that their speed and their wits every now gives them some odd man rushes, some plays in transition, and they are very opportunistic.
Yeah.
It seems like the second they get a chance, they make you pay, but they don't dominate games.
Yeah, I'm not going to tell you that when you say 100, you're out of control or anything. I just don't have them as high as 100. They were 91 last year. And I think, and this all is predicated on health, right? You can never guess that. So anytime you make a prediction, you're predicting good health. So if they are in good health, I'm predicting 95, which is only a 4-point bump. It's not a lot. But I don't see the additions versus the subtractions being a massive change in terms of that. One of them is new in Demidov. I don't think he's a great player, but I don't think he's a result changer yet. And if you look at his Corsi, he's not a result changer. The power play could decide your 100 being correct. Like if they run 4 of their last 6 and they continue on that train, then your 100 is right. But I don't think that's sustainable either. So I'm staying with my 95. What do you have? Did you have? I don't want to know what you have now. What did you have before?
I had them around 97. 97. I had them at 97. And yes, they're better. They are a better team on paper. They're still the youngest team in the NHL.
I also had Nick Suzuki 100 points. I also had Cole Caulfield 40 goals. And Suzuki will hit the 100 points. Caulfield might hit 50.
50 is a big number. That's a big number.
He's a big-time goal scorer.
I agree, but it's a massive number. Massive.
The thing is that I don't like with your 50, and here's why, is if he gets 50, there hasn't been a lot of sharing of it. So if there's not a lot of sharing of it, then the 100 isn't really possible. Like,
well, it's okay if he gets 50 and the rest get 100 points and 80 points.
No. I mean, sharing of it across the team.
Oh, I see.
You know, they're not scoring 5 or 6 per game, right? So if he hits 50, that means that overall some of the other people haven't hit their targets.
Well, it could also mean that it was a very, very hot power play.
That would be why you hit 100 points.
Okay.
And you know what? Like when the power play started this year and they were, 1 and 1A, where there was like obviously the talent was too spread out. It made no sense where Slavkovsky, where he was on the right side. Now he's on the bumper. That makes sense. Demidov on the right side totally makes sense. That's where he belongs. Like now the power play is, it's not the Oilers. But boy, the components are there, you guys. Like a great power play is all the components. If you don't have all the components and you're missing one component, then they just go to the player that can, that doesn't add up. So all of the components are there now. So, you got a perfect guy in the bumper. You got a perfect guy on the right side. You got a perfect guy on the left side. You got a perfect guy in the middle. You got a perfect playmaker on the point. It's perfect. It's perfect.
You know what their percentage is from October 23rd to October 31st?
45.
66.7%.
66.
Tops in the National Hockey League, obviously, which all coincides with.
And even the second unit scored a goal.
Being promoted to the first unit.
Yeah.
Even the second unit scored a goal.
The night that the second unit scored a goal, which was the Newhook goal, which was a pass from Doc to Gallagher that redirected off another player, went straight to Newhook's stick.
Yeah.
That was the first time both units had scored a goal in the same game in 40 games.
Wow. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's why they are rolling right now. One of the big reasons. I mean, when you have a 67% power play, you better win some hockey games, right? However, they don't get a lot of calls for a team that's possessing the puck more than the other team. Like when you look at that Oiler game, just to go back to that debacle for just a quick second, that ended up being 5 power plays to 1. But the Corsi numbers on that, the possession, the Canadians was 60-40. Like, how do you have so many more penalties against you when you're possessing the puck? That's supposed to be flipped. The power play team is supposed to be the one that possesses the puck. The chasing team is the one supposed to be taking the penalties. So that was a really, really weird night. So, because there's so much a better possession team than they were last year, like so much. Like they were 29th and 30th in a lot of possession metrics last year. This year they're top 5 in a lot of possession metrics. So the Canadians, I'm not saying I actually, I'm actually making an argument counter to my own 95-point argument right now. Like they're possessing the puck a lot, and your guess is better than mine, based on those metrics continuing.
Well, I always said that the Canadians, if they just found 10 more power play goals, this team will take off.
Yeah.
And
they got the dude.
That's it.
They got the dude.
They have him, and now they're going to find 20 or 30 more because they're just that good right now, and it's clicking at such a high rate right now.
I don't know if Brian mentioned Edmonton or Tampa before, but I've talked about this before, like the Tampa Bay Lightning power play, going back to Marty St. Louis, Vinny Cavalier, and Brad Richards.
Yeah.
And going back to Victor Hedman, Nikita Kucherov, and Steven Stamkos, and now Victor Hedman, Nikita Kucherov, and Braden Point, and Jake Gensel, for example. And this has been like one of my favorite power plays, like in the National Hockey League in the last, 10, 15, 20 years. And besides having a lot of talent on it, and besides moving the puck, one of the things that they've really been able to do too is move their feet.
Yes. So
the power play is not static, so it's hard to contain. And they have so many set plays, like from Kucherov to Hedman, Hedman back to Kucherov, back to Hedman, boom, one-timer by Hedman, or boom, one-timer by Kucherov, or Kucherov that pretends that he's going to take the wrist shot, but then the second that he gets it, he gives a one-touch pass like Demidov. By the way, I'm visualizing Kucherov on the power play, and the more I see Kucherov on the power play, the more I see Demidov, and the more I see Demidov, the more I see Kucherov. I think that Demidov is going to bring to the Canadiens power play what Kucherov has brought to the Tampa Bay power play ever since he's been to Tampa Bay Lightning. And Kucherov on the power play has probably been the best. I mean, I don't have the stats in front of me, but if you forget about the stats for a second, if you close your eyes, in the last 10 or 15 years, I think you can make a case that Nikita Kucherov has been one of the top 3, 4, 5 power play guys in the entire National Hockey League.
Yeah, and to add to your point, loving the movement of the Tampa Bay power play, that's what the Canadiens are bringing right now. You got a lot of guys who like to move within the construct. You got Hudson, who dances on the blue line. He can go right across the whole 85 feet and maintain the puck possession, which changes all of the lanes, which makes defending difficult. Demidov changes the lanes. We've seen it already. Demidov to Suzuki is working extremely well.
Jonathan Drouin used to be amazing on the Tampa Bay Lightning power play.
Yeah, and changing the lanes.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. And so the only guy that tends to be a little bit static on a power play is Caulfield, which is, not an issue.
Jack Can, who's my regular collaborator on Tuesdays and Thursdays on the show that I do in French, once again, weekdays, du lundi au vendredi à 10h le matin. Jack Can, qui a été un entraîneur de développement pour les Leafs de Toronto entre 2017 et 2020, a development coach for the Leafs between 2017 and 2020. He was hired by Kyle Dubas. He mentioned the day before, or the day of the Canadiens' first game of the season, that he would go with Cole Caulfield as a net front presence. And he said, I'm not worried about the fact that, you want him there, he's deflecting pucks, this, that, or whatever. People think that you absolutely need a big guy to be in front of the goalie, whatever. And he talked about, there's plays that they can draw up from behind the net to Caulfield on the doorstep. And we saw one of those, Suzuki to Caulfield last game. And we saw Caulfield behind the goal line actually pass it to Juraj Slafkovsky all alone within a couple of feet from the goalie. And he talked about reasons why Caulfield would be a better net front presence than a guy that was actually going to be on the left side. And it's incredible because if you think about it, when Laine joined the Canadiens last year, he got hurt in preseason, but a lot of people going into the season before he got hurt was like, is Laine going to be on the first wave of the power play? Of course he will. And if he will be, which office is he going to be in? And chances are he's going to take over Cole Caulfield's office. And then Caulfield went to the opposite side. And then, in the playoffs, then Laine ended up being sometimes on a second unit or whatever. And they took, but he was still there every now and then. And this year was like, okay, where's he going to be? Is Laine going to be on that first unit again? Then we found out going into the season that Laine would be on the second unit. And you know what? We thought, okay, Caulfield will be in his office again, left-hand side, top of the face-off circle for the one-timer. And Laine's going to be there on the second wave. And now the Canadiens power play is at its best. And Laine's hurt. And Caulfield's a net front presence. None of it makes sense.
Yeah.
Right? It's pretty cool if you think about it.
That's the advantage of having the coach's view of it, right?
Yeah, it's a pretty lethal power play. There's no doubt about it. It's fun to watch. So, Samuel Montembeault versus the Ottawa Senators. Marty St. Louis. Do we have the clip of Marty St. Louis when he told members of the media yesterday afternoon that it would be Montembeault that would get the start? Do we have it?
Sam va jouer samedi. Je sais, c'est correct, là, on va pouvoir arrêter d'en parler. Hein? Non, c'est sûr. Non. Ben, c'est sûr. Tu sais, Sam, il n'a pas oublié comment jouer la lignette, là. Tu sais, il y a un contexte attaché avec ça. C'est dur de, tu sais, comme de la manière que Dobbs y joue, ça jette un petit peu de temps à Sam de continuer à travailler sur ses affaires. Mais je suis pas inquiète que Sam va arrêter des pucks, là. Tu sais, c'est un excellent gardien. Puis il va jouer samedi. Puis là, ça lui donne une très longue séquence de travailler sur ses affaires. Tu sais. Puis peut-être qu'on n'aurait pas ça si Dobbs il était pas au niveau où ce qui est présentement. Tu sais. Fait que Sam va jouer samedi.
Okay, the second half of the answer was there's a context behind everything. Dobish has been playing really well, and he's given Samuel Montembeault some time to actually find his game. Sam's a very good goalie. He didn't forget how to play goal. We had full confidence in him, yada, yada, yada. But at the beginning, when he answered that clip was, Sam's going to be in net tomorrow. And then he's like, Sam's going to be in net tomorrow. Like, can we stop talking about it now? And I'm wondering if there's a percentage of that decision goes towards, let me just stop this whole goalie controversy talk right away type of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not telling you that's the reason why he took the decision that he took, but it almost seems like the way he answered it, it's part of the decision process. That he didn't want there to be a goalie controversy surrounding this team. He doesn't want there to be talk of that. You get that feeling?
Yeah.
It's just me.
No, I get it too, because there's no noise around the team. It doesn't make for good radio or good articles to just say everything's great, everything's sunshine and daisies. Let's pack it up and keep winning. It doesn't make for good content. But he's putting out a fire before it even starts. That's what he's doing.
I'll tell you what, though, from the experience of being in the room for a couple of decades, you get asked who's the goalie every day. Even when it's obvious it's Carey Price, at the end of the press conference was when it was asked, because it was such a non-issue. It almost felt like a non sequitur to ask, but you still have to confirm it. So you ask, Terrien, Julien, who's your goalie? And they look at you like, Carey. And it's end. That's it. It's one word, Carey. And you move off the podium. That's the end. But it has to be asked.
Yeah.
So it was asked. Now, you can see how long the answer was, right? Like in the old days, it was Carey and it was one word. How many words was that? That was 450. And it's 450 instead of one for a reason. And that was nothing produced by the media. That 450 words that came out was produced. That's how much Martin Saint-Louis felt he needed to answer that.
Yes.
Not Brian Wilde.
He's very right. But there's also a reason behind the one word, because you'd have to say more than Carey back in the day. Everyone
you know what I'm
understood.
saying?
I know what you're saying. Yeah.
That the answer is, as long as the controversy is alive or the interest is valid.
Yeah.
So the answer is 450 because it's a valid question. And it requires a valid, thoughtful answer. And so he answers it very thoughtfully. Your first point that you mentioned is very important. And then the second point, the one that I mentioned when we started this discussion on Montembeault, is he gets a little bit of time to take care of his business. Now he's had the time. He's taken care of his business. Let's see if he's worked his shit out.
All right, the Sick Podcast is brought to you in part by Energy Transportation Group, a leading asset like 3PL that's driven to be different cross-border freight between Canada, USA, and Mexico, to coast-to-coast shipping in both Canada and the United States. Energy moves it all. They're fast, reliable, powered by tech that delivers smarter logistics. You need a real partner in transportation? Contact the team at sick@shipenergy.com and see how Energy Transportation Group is changing the freight game. Also, brought to you in part by Playground. Hungry for a deal? Eat well at Playground without breaking the bank. Monday, sink your teeth into a juicy 12-ounce ribeye steak with all the fixings for just $19. Tuesdays, dive into an all-you-can-eat Asian experience for only $25. Wednesdays, savor a 6-ounce bacon wrap filet mignon with dessert for just $30. Thursday, lobster surf and turf, only $22. And Fridays at lunch, get any sandwich, burger, pizza, or main for just $7. It's delicious. It's outrageous. Visit playground.ca for details. Who's going to win tomorrow night between the Montreal Canadiens and the Ottawa Senators? Go all the way with Betway and get a deposit matchup bonus up to $300 on your first deposit. Scan the QR code on the screen or click on the link in details section to create an account. Redeem your welcome offer. Offer is only available for new customers. Terms and conditions apply. Offer is not available in Ontario. Must be 18 years of age and older. And please play responsibly. We're talking about the Canadiens, and we already mentioned to you that in all transparency, this podcast was recorded a little bit earlier in the day so that we could all watch the Toronto Blue Jays and the LA Dodgers tonight. Happy Halloween, everyone. And also, of course, at the same time, while this podcast is going on, I would imagine that the Laval Rocket hockey game by now is over, because the Laval Rocket actually played host to Rochester tonight. That was a game that started at 7 o'clock. Special Halloween night for them. RocketLaval.com. Check it out. We at Sick Media are the official French audio digital voice of all Laval Rocket home games. So want to let you know that the Rocket will be back at it tomorrow afternoon, Saturday afternoon at 3 p.m. at Place Bell. You can get your tickets. And once again, you can listen to the hockey game at lavalrocket.com and the sickpodcast.com. All right. Okay. I want to get back to the Canadiens. When I talked to you before, the revenge game. Can this be a revenge game? Because if memory,
it better be.
Well, everyone remembers
fists.
what happened. Everyone remembers what happened. It was a game that was played in the preseason. The second last game.
You don't want to see me put up
for the Canadiens. It was a game that was played in Quebec City. The Canadiens annihilated the Ottawa Senators on the ice, on the score sheet, and pugilistically speaking as well. And the Ottawa Senators were so embarrassed by that, by the scoreline and the way things went when they dropped their gloves, that it was the next day that they made a trade for Curtis McDermott. Let's remember what happened in that game. Nick Cousins, two-handed slash to Ivan Demidov to his hand.
Preseason.
Got penalized. Do you remember what happened when he came out of the box?
Did he get beat up?
No.
Did he turtle?
I bet you guys both forgot this. I got a lot.
I did forget.
Did he turtle? Did he run straight for the dressing room to avoid Arbor Jackeye?
No, he ran straight for referee Pierre Lambert. He gave him an earful. And what did Lambert do?
Threw him out.
Tossed him.
He threw him out of the game.
Well, that's the smartest thing to do in a preseason game. Get anybody out of there that's showing emotion. There should be no emotion then, but there should be big emotion Saturday.
He knew they were coming after him, so he took himself out of the game.
Gotcha.
Right?
Gotcha.
I think. Anyway,
No, you're right.
Only he knows.
No, you're right.
No.
You're right. You're 100% right.
With the type of player that Nick Cousins is, that doesn't shock me
This
at
is
all.
going to be bad for me. Get me the hell out of here.
So do they try and take care of this tomorrow night as soon as the game starts with Cousins? Because, look, we know what the code is, and we know in the National Hockey League that it's gone something like this in the past. You line up next to the guy and you say, listen, let's get this over with right away. You have to answer the bell
Cousins
because what you
isn't
did.
answering any bell.
Well,
the dinner bell is the biggest bell he'll answer.
Yeah, I'm not sure he'll answer the Arbor Jackeye bell, but
he won't answer any bell.
No
bells.
He won't even answer
He's bellless.
The
ballless
Jaden Struble bell or the Josh Anderson bell. No,
yeah,
that's my call. He has no bells to answer.
Cole Caulfield bell.
Maybe that one.
Yeah.
And he'll go chase him down. And they'll be running around the ice looking for Cole. Let's do this, buddy.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen either. I think the Canadians are a well-disciplined team as compared to years past now.
Which is going to be a shame. Matt, you know how they say as you age, you get placid? I'm turning into a savage.
Wow.
I want fisticuffs on
Saturday.
My
God, hold on a second.
I want anger.
That would make him Brian Savage.
I love it. I'm Brian Savage.
Mr. October.
There's a guy at the tennis club who
Mr.
always
October. It's fitting. It's Halloween, Mr.
at the
October.
At the Monkland Tennis Club, there's a guy who always calls me Brillant Sauvage. Anyway, back to the point. I want to see a real rivalry starting to build
What a
here.
tacky joke.
Okay? That was a dad joke. That was a good one.
Yeah.
There is the odd good dad joke. But I want to see like who's the rivalry that was really working. I thought it was Montreal-Boston over the years, right? Like you had the 5-on-5 exchange where Yaroslav Spacek
was for a period of
right.
Actually, hold on.
Carey
for
Price was the
years.
only one who won a fight in one of the big exchanges where he had, I think it was
Thomas.
He had Thomas, and he was like, "I'm going to take it easy."
There was another win,
right?
There was another win
For Carey Price?
No, I think it was Benoit Pouliot versus David Krejci.
Oh yeah, that's right. But for the most part, like every time there were fights, like Montreal's been terrible at this angle in the game, and they wanted to be good. But I remember there was one 5-on-5, and they all got pummeled. And there was one with Ottawa too in the playoffs, and they all got pummeled. Yeah.
It was,
all the Canadians got
that
pummeled.
Was the line brawl. Can you? And I'm going to
Aren't
forget
we
this.
looking forward
Hold
to
on
the
a second.
Canadians doing the pummeling for once?
I'm going to forget.
I'm Brian Savage, and I want Canadian pummeling.
Who was on the ice for that Canadians line brawl?
Was it Rafael Diaz?
5 players fought.
Lars Eller.
No.
Well, Lars.
He got knocked. He was the one who got knocked out.
He was already knocked out on the Diaz pass.
Yeah,
Number 61 is involved
player
for that
61.
one.
That's right. Okay.
Who's on the line brawl? Can I go?
Yeah,
yes.
go.
Ryan White.
Know? Okay. Well, he could have won. He wasn't a bad little fighter.
Francis Bouillon.
He wasn't a bad little fighter.
Jared Tenorti.
He wasn't a bad big fighter.
Colby Armstrong.
Not a fighter.
And Travis Moen, who went with Chris Neal.
And so the Canadians lost all 5 that one.
I think Bouillon's the only one who won it.
Okay. Well, against Boston, they lost all 5. And you were looking around and it was like, oh my God. It wasn't like all 5 just lost. All 5 were hanging on for dear life. It wasn't
as bad as Troy Millette knocking out Mary Barron back in the day.
No. But aren't you looking forward to the Canadians having the opportunity to do a little pummeling?
Honest, yeah.
Aren't you?
Yeah.
How many years have we been pummeled?
Yeah, we were always the small team. The Canadians were always the small team, and now they're a little bit bigger. They're tougher.
Yeah.
I just think that the game means too much. The game means way too much.
Oh no, it's a regular season game early in the season. The game doesn't mean anything.
But I think he's on. If the focus is revenge, they could lose it. They could lose the game. They might win the fight, but they'll lose the game. Having said that,
I don't know. I think if you win the fights, you win the game too.
Guys, Curtis McDermott is Jack the Giant Killer, right? This guy's strong. He has no idea how to play hockey, but this guy can fight. I think I think last night versus the Flames, I think he had less than 3 minutes of ice time. 240 something. I think on the average, his average ice time this season is like 450 or something, less than 5 minutes. He's got no idea how to play hockey, but he can fight. Like out of all the fighters in the National Hockey League right now, I think he's the guy who least knows how to play hockey.
Even Ryan Reeves scored a nice goal the other night.
His father could play though. You don't remember this, but he used to play with the Hartford Whalers back in the day.
Well, I hope they get at it because I want to see a rivalry, and I want it to start tomorrow night, and I want it to be big because I think Ottawa is a team with a very bright future. If I were building a team, I probably wouldn't build it around Tim Stützle. He's a nice hockey player, but I don't think I'd build a team around him. But overall, they got a really great team. I like their blue line.
I think he's a better talent than Suzuki, but Suzuki's a better player.
I would definitely. I mean, Nick is.
I'll give him that.
Nick is.
He's quite a talent, though.
Yes.
Tim Stützle's quite a talent.
You know the leading point getter in the National Hockey League is since Four Nations.
Nick Suzuki.
It's Nick Suzuki.
3 points.
It's Nick Suzuki,
games.
you guys. Yeah. So I mean, Nick is everything you could hope for in a hockey player, and a great 200-foot player as well. Leading the best goal differential line in the National Hockey League last year, off to an amazing start in the same category this year. So I build my team around Nick before I build it around Tim. But I think I do love Sanderson on the back line. Hell of a defenseman. They got a great future. They got a great team. But I'd like to see a rivalry started with them. And that starts with some more exciting hockey games and a little bit of violence.
Well, it also starts with, if I can, Matt, just on this, is that these two clubs in the last 13 years squared off in the playoffs versus each other twice.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right. The Ottawa Senators won the first playoff series and the Canadians won the second. With the structure of the playoffs being second team in the division plays third team,
it could happen a lot.
I think that it could happen that they can square off versus each other quite a bit. I think that the potential's there, right there.
Yeah, because Boston's done.
Boston is done.
They're done. That's a rebuild for 5 to 7 years.
I would think so. And they might want to do a reset because they have Charlie McAvoy and they have Pasternak and they have Jeremy Swayman. They might want, and they have Elias Lindholm. They might want to do a reset instead of a rebuild. But I don't see the Bruins in the playoffs for the next 3-4 years.
No.
And Toronto's not as strong either without Mitch Marner. It's pretty obvious.
Yeah, there's a lot of
they don't have a first line.
I didn't think they would be, and a lot of people said, they acquired 3-4 players. They're going to be deeper. The team that wins the trade is always the team that gets the best better player.
It's 100% always been that way. It will always be that way.
Right?
So who's the first place team in the division, in the East, in the Atlantic?
Tampa Bay.
I think you see them coming on and doing the same thing they always do.
I think Kucherov he's too much of a power.
Last I checked, he was -9.
Last I checked, he puts up 130 points a year.
Yeah, no, I agree with that part. But he used to put on 130 points, being plus.
He was held scoreless last night in a 2-1 win. By the way, Anthony Cirelli with the game-winning goal in overtime.
Yeah, I just don't understand why he's -9 because I agree with the 130 part, but he's always been plus 30 when he was 130.
To me,
not -9. Sorry.
To me, it's a matter of, you see how badly Toronto's doing. They started around the same record last year, surprisingly enough, and but they had Mitch Marner also, so they knew everything was going to click. This year's a little bit of a different story. Tampa Bay, that core is still together. And
are you ready to say that Toronto missed their chance? Not yet. The window's still open, right?
I said, you know what I said?
Well, as long as Nylander, Matthews, and
you're always going to have a chance. But
John Tavares and Morgan Riley,
can't you make the same argument?
They're all aging out now. No.
Yeah.
But can't you make the same argument about the Bruins? Once you have, as long as you have Pasternak, McAvoy, and Swayman, you're always going to be kind of in it.
Here's the thing with the Bruins.
Not really? Like what
since
have they done?
2011?
Yeah.
Until 2024, the Boston Bruins made the playoffs and they made 3 finals, of which they won 1 cup versus the Vancouver Canucks in 7 games in 2011. And then they lost 2 other cups, 1 versus Chicago in 6 and 1 versus St. Louis in 7. In the National Hockey League, you have your window. For some, it's 8 years. For some, it's 10. For some, it's 12. For some, it's 6. You have your window. When that window's open, that's your chance to win a cup. You win it, you win it. You don't win it, you won't win it. And then I honestly believe you need to start all over again. Now, the Penguins are defying a little bit of logic here with the way because they won 3 cups in their window. I would have never thought the Penguins would be playing at this rate. Like I would have never thought they would have been winning these hockey games. Like
it's a shock, and
I'm not so sure that I
sustain it.
I don't think they can, but at this point, like I wouldn't bet against them. The Chicago Blackhawks had their window. They won 3 Stanley Cups in their window. The Tampa Bay Lightning went to 3 consecutive finals and they won 2 cups. The Florida Panthers went to 3 consecutive finals. They won 2 cups. I know a lot of people laugh when I say, like, well, I think less people are laughing now that I think that the duo of Gordon and Hughes are going to win a Stanley Cup. But if Boston went to 3 finals in a decade, and Pittsburgh won 3 cups, and Chicago won 3 cups, and Tampa Bay went to 3 finals and won 2 cups, and Florida went to 3 finals and won 2 cups, there's going to be another team going forward that's going to be on that kind of a run.
Right.
And I think the Canadians are going to be one of those teams that's going to be a contender. I also think San Jose is going to be a force to reckon with. And I also think that Anaheim is going to be a force to be reckoned with. I don't know about New Jersey. Sometimes I think yes, sometimes
Utah?
I think no. Utah has a lot of speed. A lot of speed. But you know what?
Not a lot of size.
I'm not as high on them as I am on some of these other teams.
Yeah.
And to tell you the truth, out of all the teams that we talked about, I think I'm highest on the Canadians, but San Jose and Anaheim, they're pretty good.
Where do you have Dallas in there?
I don't know if Dallas is going to have a better opportunity to win than they did in the last 2 years, but they're still very good.
Yeah.
I know what you're getting at. Rupe Hintz, Wyatt Johnson, Thomas Harley, Miro Heiskanen,
Jason Robertson,
Jacob Ottinger, Jason Robertson. I hear you, but
the interesting thing about windows is when your experienced players have shown that they can get to the finals, the window stays open a long time.
Oh, yeah.
Like Patrice Bergeron kept that window open a long time because whenever he was on the ice against the best players in the National Hockey League, he was the best players in the National Hockey League.
And Taves did it for Chicago.
Exactly.
And Kopitar was a big reason of Los Angeles.
So it stays open a long time. If you've got win the middle, win the game kind of guy like Bergeron and a defenseman that can do the same thing, that can dominate for 30 minutes, win all the shifts when he's on the ice, which is one of 2 shifts. That's the key to this happening.
Crosby,
so when we look,
middle, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So when you look at Toronto's, open window, like the guys that they were relying on, the core 4, never were the type of players that won games like the Bergerons, right? The Kopitars, the guys that could win the middle, win the game. Like Matthews, he never wins the middle in the playoffs.
Toronto's an anomaly. Can you imagine this? They weren't able to win 2 rounds with a middle of Austin Matthews, John Tavares, and Ryan O'Reilly. They beat Tampa, but they lost in the second round. They weren't able to, they say, win the middle, win the game.
Yeah, but
they had Austin Matthews, John Tavares, and Ryan O'Reilly. They couldn't win 2 rounds.
But those guys don't. Ryan O'Reilly is the best of those 3 at winning the middle.
Yes.
Believe it or not.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't make sense, right? But the other, like the Tavares has never had success on the island or Toronto. And Matthews is even worse.
I think today we should revisit that draft and ask if it was to do all over again. And by the way, John Tavares had a great career. Okay, he scored his 500th
amazing
goal.
career.
Yeah, he scored his 500th goal. But if that draft was to be done all over again, would Tavares go first again and Hedman second?
Yeah, for sure. The other way around. Now let's keep talking about that for just 1 second. Who are the best players? I'll ask you guys. Who are the best players at winning the middle and dominating their shifts in the last 2 decades?
Sidney Crosby,
number 1.
Patrice Bergeron.
Number 2, I agree 100%.
Anze Kopitar.
Yep, 100%. You're right.
Jonathan Taves.
I'm totally in agreement with all 4 things you just said.
Connor McDavid as well?
No, not at all.
No.
He is not that great at winning the middle. He wins the power play, but his actual numbers are not really good at winning the middle. Now, you give these guys their 5 power plays, they're going to look like they're winning the middle, but 5-on-5, the 4 guys that Tony mentioned are the 4 guys. Yeah. Jonathan Taves, when they won cups, 3 of them, that was essentially Taves winning every shift he played.
I would say that
Crosby the same thing when they won.
Probably not a popular thing to say, but over the course of their career, winning the middle, McKinnon probably won the middle more than McDavid.
I would say for sure. Because it's about it's about as well the centerman. But if you look historically, there's a Nick Lidstrom in there too.
Yeah.
There's a guy who gets on defense and then negates everybody's top.
I have another
score.
one.
Yeah.
You ready for my fifth?
Yeah, sure.
You ready?
Yeah.
I bet you're going to agree with me. I'll bet the house is going to agree with me. Barkov.
Oh, 100%.
I knew that's where you were
They
going
just won
to.
2 cups. Yeah. Who's winning all those shifts? Who's winning the middle in all those games? So, you know why I bring that up too? Like, do the Canadians, and I would answer no 2 years ago, do the Canadians have a guy who can win the middle? The answer is yes.
They do.
Nick Suzuki can win the middle. You just look at goal differential is a fabulous statistic. The best line in the NHL last year, who didn't really even have a good third participant until the second half of the year in Slavkovsky, was Nick Suzuki. They had the best goal differential. And you know who else had an amazing goal differential and why they made it to the Stanley Cup Finals when they did? Phil Deneau. In the year that they were, in the year that line, which was Deneau, Tatar, and Gallagher, 5-on-5, they had goals for 28, 5-on-5. Goals against, playing Connor McDavid.
Yeah.
Well, we saw
Scheifele.
it.
You know how many goals against they had 5-on-5, you guys? That line? Deneau, Tatar, and Gallagher? 3. 28-3 was their
Wow, that's unbelievable.
Well,
28-3, playing the North.
And we saw that.
Matthews, McDavid, Pedersen, Scheifele. 28-3.
Well, that's the year that made Phil Deneau all of his dollars.
Exactly. Got him all his money for Los Angeles, and Bergevin didn't want to give him $500 extra.
He's a name that Jack Can brought up, by the way, of potential centerman that the Canadians could offer.
100%.
Anze Kopitar obviously is going to retire at the end of the year, and LA had their run and they won their 2 Stanley Cups. If they want to rebuild, he's going to be on the market, and you would think that the price to pay for a Phil Deneau is going to be less than a couple of other players that are there.
I love that suggestion. And here's another reason why. If you have a Philip Deneau there, who would be his line mate that would suddenly be playing a hell of a lot of hockey in the offensive zone and making up for his shortcomings? Demidov.
Yeah.
He could make Demidov a much better player. Like Demidov needs.
I think in an ideal world, though, at this stage of it, you need a more offensive player than Phil Deneau, who had 54 points.
I don't agree with that. I think
ago?
you need a 200-foot setter that makes sure that Demidov is playing in the offensive zone, and then Demidov will do what he can do.
I agree with Brian, because Demidov is that type of player, like an Artemi Panarin, like a Nikita Kucherov, like a Patrick Kane, who drives a line, not necessarily the centerman.
Right.
And he's the winger who can
But
drive
he only
a line.
drives the line in the 100 feet towards the goal,
Correct.
not in the 100 feet back. Deneau can drive your line in the first 100 feet, and Demidov can drive your line in the second 100 feet.
Correct.
So I agree with Mr. Hand.
Yes, I have a dream, and the dream is probably not realistic, and the dream's name is Robert Thomas. But, then again, he's the number 1 centerman on the St. Louis Blues.
And they're not giving up yet.
Shen is 34 years old.
They're not giving up
got
yet.
Pius Suter, who, by the way, Jack Can also says, take a look at Pius Suter. They got Dalibor Dvorsky. No, they're not going away of a rebuild yet. But see, he's a player with 5.5 years left on his contract at 26 years old. And by the way, in no way, shape, or form do I think St. Louis will trade this player. Okay. But that's a kind of player when you're 26 that at that point you would consider giving up on a prospect.
How old is Deneau now around, you guys? Do you know? Want to take a guess?
He's got to be 30-something, obviously.
32, I would say, if I was guessing.
Right. So if we're going to do 32-year-olds, how old is Nazem Kadri?
31? 32?
No, Kadri's 35.
35?
Wow.
Yeah. Deneau's 32. Off. Yeah. And Kadri's 35.
And what do you think of Kadri there? He's won a cup. He was instrumental in that cup.
I think
they're done. Calgary's done. Do you think Calgary?
They're done. They've lost 10 of their last 11.
And how soon will they make their decision that it's rebuild time?
I think they have to in the next month.
That's what I was going to say. You take a look at a team like Calgary. It's going to be very interesting the next month, because I think that with the talent that Gavin McKenna is supposed to be, teams are going to start to throw in the towel a little earlier than they normally would. And the second that first domino
Calgary
falls,
might not have to make a trade to finish last.
They can do it all on their own.
They're bad.
Yeah.
They're bad. Come on, man.
Yeah, no, they are bad. But the second the first team, that first domino falls of the first player to go, that's when you're going to start to see teams throw in the towel and start to lose games.
Having said that, if I was Calgary, I would try to trade Mackenzie Weegar, Jonathan Huberdeau, and Nazem Kadri, and I would go full rebuild. I would.
Well, it didn't work from the moment they got them.
Yeah, I would go full rebuild.
Exactly.
From the moment it happened.
And again, they were overly optimistic.
Yeah. The Sick Podcast brought to you part by Bittt Tibi. They launched a new Ultra Lager. The cans are right in front of me. A refreshing, thirst-quenching beer, perfect for those cool fall days with only 90 calories, 2 grams of carbs, 4% ABV per can, available in a pack of 6 and 12 in grocery stores all around the province of Quebec. It's ultra light and ultra refreshing. I want to thank Fruiterie Dollard that brings you Brian Wilde. I want to thank Betway, Bittt Tibi, Playground, and Energy Transportation Group. Guys, time flies when we're having fun. There's so many other topics we can get to, but the beauty
we
of it
didn't
is,
get to the one I wanted to get to big time.
But
Do we have 40 seconds?
You want to know why?
Yeah.
Because the one that I wanted you to get to, I think we can have a podcast all on it next week.
Okay, all right. I won't.
And you know what? And it's going to pique everyone's curiosity that we get to that topic. But don't you agree that come next week, we can tackle that and we can go
absolutely
one full podcast
I think
with
that's
that?
a half hour, just that one idea.
I don't remember what was last time. 1.5 hour. All right, okay. Brian Wilde, thanks very much for doing this, man. And Matt Ohayon, thanks very much for the Cavallaro family and Master Control. Happy Halloween, everyone. We'll be back again on Monday morning en français à 10h le matin and Monday night at 10 p.m. in English. It is the Sick Podcast.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast with Tony Marinaro on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts. The Sick Podcast is brought to you by Energy Transportation Group, driven to be different. LaBita.tb, embrace your true nature. And Playground, your premier gaming destination.